On this week's episode of Talking Absolute Bollocks, our main topic conversation is the FA Cup. We talked to an Arsenal fan, a Spurs fan, and a Norwich City fan about their hopes this year in the Cup. Speaking in Norwich.
Where are you? Where are you? Let's be having you!
Welcome to the latest edition of Talking Absolute Bollocks with myself, Niall Reardon, and my glamorous co-host, the amazing Gary Gaz McDevitt. All right, Gaz?
Hi, Niall. Hi, lads. How's it going?
So today's topic we're going to be talking about is the FA Cup. It's Marmite to a lot of people. You either love it or you hate it. So we tried to get on fans of smaller clubs this week that really like the FA Cup. So our guests today are Derek Payton, who's our Spurs fan. Hi, Derek.
How's it going?
We have Paul Byrne. Byrne's is our Arsenal fan. Hi, Paul.
Hey, lads.
And Damien O'Keefe. Damien is our Norwich City fan. Damien, how are things?
How things, you well?
Oh, good. No. All right. So just before we start, if you're watching the video, give it a thumbs up if you like what we're doing, and subscribe to the channel if possible, and share it away to all your family and friends as well. So that's the admin stuff out of the way. So we're going to start with Burnsy. Burnsy, just 3 questions for you that we always start with our guests. So if you want to tell us how long you're following Arsenal, your favourite ever Arsenal player, and your favourite player never to play with Arsenal.
Yeah, I suppose I didn't kind of start off as an Arsenal fan. It was the '94 World Cup actually made me a Bergkamp fan, which evidently then the following year when he signed made me an Arsenal fan. So yeah, since '95 when Bergkamp signed, obviously Bruce Rioch was there. It was just before the Wenger days, so just before Wenger came in and revolutionised and changed English football. The second one was a favourite ever Arsenal player, despite what he'd done with Ireland and the handball. It has to be Thierry Henry. The man was an absolute genius. Like just even trying to emulate the stuff that he done on the pitch, like even at the level that we all played at, was impossible. Like the man was just absolutely gifted. Like even with the 220 odd goals, like frightening stuff. I don't think I've ever celebrated a goal as much as on his return goal against Leeds in the FA Cup. I genuinely don't think I've ever celebrated a goal the way I celebrated that one. And a favourite player never to play. I was trying to think down through the years, like the gaps we were missing. Like we were obviously missing massively in defence down through the years after Adams and the legs stepped away. But the biggest thing for me is when Vieira left, there was a massive gap in terms of leadership. So one player I'd have loved to have seen play with us would have been Stevie G. I think that gap we were missing there, he'd have filled in there. We were missing a leader. Like obviously we had Cesc as captain at the time, then William Gallas, and Stevie G steps in there. It just takes us up a level again, brings us back to kind of where we were.
Great answer. I love you even more now at this stage.
Nah, hold on a second. So you're telling us that your favourite player ever to never play for Arsenal is Stevie G?
Yeah.
Above, like, Ronaldo's, Maradona's, R9, Ronaldinho, you're calling Stevie G your greatest?
Like
you go down through the list of like the players that Arsenal were close to signing. Like I've come to terms with Arsenal not having those players. Like I imagined them in Arsenal shorts. It didn't happen, but as I said, like down through the years, the pieces that we were missing a leader, we were missing someone to carry the team by the neck and take us through games. In my opinion, Stevie G would have epitomised all that. Like,
yeah, so deal with that now, Gary. All right.
I know, yeah, Gary's like a dog.
Damien, same 3 questions to yourself.
Okay, I'll start off by originally saying that I was an ex-Liverpool fan. I grew up as a Liverpool fan late 80s, early 90s. My father was a Liverpool fan and my brother is a big Liverpool fan. If anyone who doesn't remember, Liverpool going through a bad patch early days. They had Souness in charge and I just disliked Souness. I just liked the way they were going. And I'm also kind of a guy that likes to do my own thing. I like to be different. So I just took a season out, watched a bit of football, and I fell in love with Norwich in 1991, I think. 92 was the Premiership season, of which we finished third, and I thought, yes, I jumped ship for the good team. The following season, I think we came 8th. The following season, we were relegated, and it's been up and down ever since. It's actually class to support the team in the Championship because every fan loves their own team, and it's very easy to be in Liverpool and Arsenal and Spurs, but to be a smaller team, it's when you get to the Premiership, there's just so much involved. For me, last season was excellent, even though we got relegated and we knew we were getting relegated. Just to be there was class. So that's how I became a Norwich fan. My favourite player for Norwich, there's been a few. We have Teemu Pukki at the moment, who was excellent. We had Dan Huckerby, who was a brilliant player, but probably my favourite player of the whole lot has to be the Irishman, Wes Houlihan. The man was a magician. He was brilliant. He was gifted. How he hasn't had many more caps for Ireland is beyond me. I don't know. Ireland don't play his type of football, but when they did play him, he did play football with Ireland. He got Ireland playing football, and when he was taken back off, Ireland went back to the same long ball football, which I disliked. And the third question, which player, very similar to Paul, my favourite player in the Premiership is Bergkamp, Dennis Bergkamp. There's no point. Obviously, I like to have the likes of Roy Keane, Wayne Rooney, Cristiano Ronaldo. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Bergkamp. Bergkamp would fit our style of football. We like possession football. We like the little tippy-tappy passes. But Bergkamp was streets ahead of everyone else. The man was gifted, definitely the best player of my generation at the time growing up. And I could understand why Paul became an Arsenal fan because of Bergkamp. Bergkamp was brilliant. Now, go back to 93 or 94, Norwich went to Europe and we were knocked out by we beat Bayern Munich and we were knocked out by Inter Milan. 1-0 in the San Siro and 1-0 at home Carter Road. And it was 2 Dennis Bergkamp goals that knocked us out. So for me to really want Bergkamp after he knocked us out of Europe is a big, big thing for me. But the man was gifted. He was definitely the best player of my generation in the Premiership. So there would be my 3 answers.
Yeah, I agree. Bergkamp was.
He was something else. He was something else.
Derek, over to you. Same 3 questions, bud.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, about the same as the guys know, probably about 95-ish, about 25 years, I'd say, 25 to 30 years. My brother started following Spurs, I'd say, just to annoy fellas, because everyone else was following United and Liverpool. I think Spurs won the FA Cup in 91, and, you know, they were playing well at the time and all, and, the good players and exciting football and that kind of stuff. So I'd say just to be awkward, he started following Spurs, and I just followed him. Do you know what I mean? So since then, so yeah, that's just come back 30 years at this stage, 25 years, it's a favorite player. It's a funny one. I was like, there's loads of other teams that have a lot more options. Spurs was kind of limited. I was kind of going, who's my favorite player, and I was struggling. But I suppose you watch a lot more telly in the last and you see a lot more matches of late than you would, going back 20 years. So the one player that stands out is probably Bale. Like, it was only 2 years worth really had him at his peak, but like, he was just unreal. Like, when he was at his peak, do you know what I mean? So I could go further back and pick other players. I could say Gaz and people like that, but like, if I just had to pick a player off the top of my head, I'd have to say Bale. Just he was unbeatable for those couple of years, So favorite player not to have played for us. Again, you could pick it. You could pick your obvious, pick a Messi or something like that. But going slightly left of field, I'd probably say Henrik Larsson, just because I saw him a lot for Celtic and saw him in the flesh. And he was just magic. Like, he was just a class act. Even when he went to United in his latter days, like, he was still a genius, So no particular reason, just always liked him. Went to a load of Celtic matches over the years, and he was brilliant. Like, do you know what I mean? So, but again, a bit obscure, but I put him in there. Like, plenty of options, but like, realistically, a bit like Burnsy was saying there. Like, we're kind of going. You could pick an obvious one, but who's realistically going to be playing at that level? Mid-table mediocrity. So you could potentially have seen him going there at some stage, but probably Larsson, I'd say.
I don't know, like that's the reason we asked this question. Like, last week we had someone mention Dennis Irwin here in a Larsson. Like, I mean, I was thinking today of who you might be picking. I would have picked Burnsies anyway. I wouldn't have got Damien's, and I wouldn't have guessed Larsson for you. I was thinking Ginola or someone like that for yourself. Or I did think a hooker would be all right for Norwich, because thinking of back when I was watching Norwich, he was just always kind of a flair player, and he always done some deep.
That's the kind of player I like as well. And Wes Houlihan is that kind of player. But if you see Wes is gifted. Wes is probably the best League of Ireland player to ever play League of Ireland football. And to go out to Norwich and do what he done at Norwich, he was at Norwich 10, 12 years. It's a shame that because he played at championship level and he didn't get enough international recognition, a lot of guys wouldn't have known Wes Houlihan that well.
Yeah,
the kind of football he brings. For such a small guy, this guy is a magician, to be fair to him.
Gaz, any takes on any of that? Any surprises for you or anything?
No, I was thinking the same as you. I was trying to go through players and think of Spurs and Norwich in particular, of which players that I might have thought about over the years. And I think 2 Permacrocs came into my head. Firstly, for Spurs, I remember Ledley King when he was sort of proper good back in the day, and he was fit and he could run. I thought he was excellent. Like, he was nearly as good as Rio, but not quite. So he was someone who I definitely thought was an excellent centre midfielder at the time. And there was one player from that played for Norwich. Now, he's only there for 2 seasons that I was kind of interested in, was Dean Ashton. I know he was at Norwich in the season. I think he got relegated. It was the season Delia went crazy, but he was a fantastic all-around centre forward. I think he was somebody who could have played at the highest level and could have played for any team in England.
We sold him. I'm not sure what price we sold him for. We sold him for about 8.5 million at the time to West Ham. He just broke into the English squad, and he was a great player. Right? He was one on my list today. He was a player that, do you know when you play a championship manager, that he was playing with Crew at the time. He was a player that I liked to buy. And when Norwich bought him, I thought we are about to get a great player. We had him only for 2 seasons. He was excellent, and it's a shame because I think he only retired at the age of 26. I think he got injured playing with maybe England at the time, and that
it was England. I think it was Sean Wright Phillips, was it, that injured him in a tackle at training or something like that?
Something like that, something innocuous tackle like that, and that ruined. You're right. He's a good selection. He definitely. But
he's a good player.
Because his career was curtailed, I didn't go over them. As much as Holan and Huckabee.
And the last thing I wanted to get out was sort of the elephant in the room around Sol Campbell, and just to get a bit of opinion on Sol Campbell from the Spurs fan and the Arsenal fan.
Yeah, well, I have no pick. Go on, work with Burns, yeah.
No, I'll let you have a question about it first this week.
Look, I don't have too many things. Like, I mean, fellas moved clubs. He was excellent at Spurs. Like, I mean, I'd still pick Ledley King above him, like, in terms of just overall ability. And like, there's one tackle there you probably see on YouTube of King catching I think it's Arjen Robben. He was about 3.5 miles ahead of him, and he still managed to get back and tackle him. It's unreal. Like, I just see him covering the ground. He's like a donkey. He's just like, but he just flies along. His legs move faster than his body or something. It's weird. But it was unreal.
Horses.
Like, yeah. Could be that. He doesn't look like a horse though. Trust me. He just looks like he's ungainly. But he's unreal. Speed, like, was at the top of his game. He was class. He was untouchable. But Campbell was really good player. But like, I suppose, look, you can't ultimately move with your rivals like at that level. I think that was just. It's not, if you could play, like, look at Michael Owen. How long was that Liverpool? 1 season at United, and would you say, I don't know what you'd say, Niall, would most Liverpool players not, would they now rate Michael Owen as a legend or not because of that 1 season or whatever it was? I don't know, but in a lot of books, I would say that Spurs fans look at Sol Campbell the same way. 95% of them,
No, I reckon 99% of my Liverpool friends would say they dislike Michael Owen and that he's a traitor and he's a Judas and all this kind of crack. I idolised him at Liverpool. I thought he was brilliant, but to go to United, it was just a no-no for me, and he said it in his book. He didn't have any other options, and I don't know whether I believe that or not. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're coming towards the end of your career and Alex Ferguson comes looking for you, you're going, and that's like, I can understand from a footballing perspective why he done it, but I know not a lot of Liverpool players that wouldn't even consider going across to the Manx. All right, lads. So look, the FA Cup this weekend. We'll go through fixtures. We'll have a bit of more of a talk on what everyone makes of the FA Cup later on the show. But just starting off, 3 away games. Spurs are away to Wickham on Monday night. Norwich are away to Barnsley tomorrow at 3:00, and Arsenal are away to Southampton tomorrow afternoon. I think it's 12:30 kickoff. Looking on paper, I think Arsenal have the toughest fixture. For me, I just think that Arsenal should have enough because they love the FA Cup. It seems to bring the best out of Arsenal. Burnsy, what do you think? How do you see the game going?
That's exactly what that's kind of my that bit of hope that I'm keeping is the FA Cup. We just seem to shine in that. But again, like, as an Arsenal fan, and I'm sure that there's other Arsenal fans out there would agree, but you never know which Arsenal's going to turn up. Is it going to be the slick Arsenal, or is it going to be the ones that just shy away and fall apart? The playing Southampton away from home, it will be difficult. They're on a great run. How they've turned around from getting destroyed by Leicester, was it 9-0 last season, and to where they are now compared to that is incredible. I can't call it, to be honest. I think if we can get through Southampton, I'd actually nearly say it'll be between ourselves and Man City to win it. I think tomorrow will be the most difficult fixture. We've got them again then in the league after that. So it depends what team Southampton are going to put out. Similar enough to ourselves, but I think it's actually like even if we put out the kids, the likes of Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli, it really does depend on Southampton. If they put out their first team, their strongest 11, we're in trouble, no matter which team we put out, I think.
You mentioned Smith Rowe there a second ago. From watching him recently, I think there's a serious player in there altogether. It looks like he's playing 10, 15 years ahead of his age. He just seems to be loving it, just gets involved. He's getting assists nearly every week. I think he's your top assister in the Premier League at this stage. Like, what do you think? What do you make of him?
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. Like, I think it's seven direct goal involvements in 10 games, I think. They've been talking about him for a couple of years. I expected him to make his break into the first team last season, but I think he went out on loan again. He's had a few loans that didn't really work out for him, but like he's been incredible. Like, if you look at the three lads together, Martinelli, Saka, and him, like the three of them with Oba ahead of him. Like, I think that's strong. It's just we sorted out the rest of it this season, but with him kind of sitting in the middle in that number 10, like he's just found we just found something that we realized that was there, but was expecting it to happen a lot sooner, to be honest.
And obviously, when he's named after Big Emile Heskey, he's obviously going to have a great career ahead of him. Like,
oh, obviously, yeah, clearly, yeah, absolutely.
Derek, you've Wickham, went to Wickham on Monday night.
Bottom of the championship, I think, are they at the moment. So I to be honest, I'd have been kind of confident enough anyway if we played the championship side, just because I'd say Mourinho now has his eyes on the prize here, like, and like, in fairness, you can love him or hate him, like, but he does deliver trophies. So, and the way they're set up at the moment anyway, like, over the last, I don't know how many years, it doesn't matter who Spurs are playing the FA Cup, I'd expect them to lose, to be honest. Like, I have no confidence whatsoever. Like, so I'm actually going into these games kind of going, yeah, I expect them to win by 2-0 or something like that. Like, you'd be fairly confident. So the way they're set up and they're structured and they're solid enough. So, like, I'd be confident enough. Like, and they would be, like, they're always, when aren't they dark horses for the FA Cup? Do you know what I mean? But, like, the year ends in one as well. So,
Right.
you know.
I was wondering, were you going to bring that up at some stage?
Oh, yeah, 2 or 3 times.
When was that last relevant?
91, I think.
There's only been a couple of years, and then one since then, I suppose. You actually played Wickham in the FA Cup a couple of years ago. You went full strength and you beat them 4-3. I was kind of I was looking at it. I was like, you surely had all the kids out and stuff, but I think Son got a hat trick that day. I think you were strong enough on the day, so I don't think it mightn't be as easy. It might be a 1-0 Mourinho masterclass or something like.
I think so, and like, in fairness, like, himself and Pochettino are kind of like in that way. Like, they don't seem to throw the kids out. Like, now I'd say that's a fear of losing as well, and maybe the squad isn't as good, and as big. But like, I was looking at benches from teams over the last couple of weeks, like Chelsea and stuff, and look at the bench, and their bench was like a full starting 11 in any of the top 7 or 8 teams. But like, and Spurs' bench is a lot better than it was over the last couple of years. But no matter what, he's still going to play Harry Kane up front for probably 85 minutes, and that's something I'm not too keen on. I think this is a chance to play a very, very strong team and put in Vicinius or whatever his name is, and, you know, just make 1 or 2 small changes and keep 7 or 8 first teamers and still get over the line, because you don't want to get any city injuries in those games, like, so. But I'd be fairly confident, yeah.
Today I was looking through your 3 squads, kind of try to pick out young players that are coming through. Obviously, Arsenal have a lot with Saka and with Smith Rowe, and then there's Windia and Cantwell at Norwich. And I was looking at Spurs. You've literally no one that he's trusting to put in. Like, I was looking at Harry Winks. I was like, he's 24. And I was looking at Vinicius, kind of going, he must have brought him in as a youngster. He's 25. You know, Mourinho has been notorious for never really trusting the kids. It was strange kind of try and pick someone out that might come in and put himself in the window, like, you know.
Yeah, I don't really know what the production line is like, I suppose, and like that's the fear that Mourinho might stay there for 3 years, win nothing, stunt things, and there's nothing coming behind the scenes. But like, that's where the likes of Arsenal teams that are actually quite good at flooding players, and I know Arteta isn't doing too well at the moment. Like, you know, it's up and down, but like, you need a season like that to kind of blood fellas, and that's the problem when you don't, then, and things go pear-shaped and 3 or 4 fellas leave, you're screwed, you know. So hopefully there's 1 or 2 that will pop up, but I haven't seen any names, to be honest, so not too hopeful.
But the transfers.
Am I doing Mourinho a bit of a disservice? Does he bring in the youngsters, or when he's with United?
He played them because he had no choice. But the thing is, I think even the transfers, like, you know, like he could have went out and bought a right back instead of buying Doherty. He's not playing Doherty. So why is he having there? You know, he's playing Aurier. He could have bought like Max Aarons off Norwich or something like that for not much more money and had a young right back who they'd have for years. But Mourinho wants instant success. Mourinho sees that Poch was in there, couldn't win a trophy. Mourinho just wants to win a trophy just to say he was able to bring a trophy to Spurs. And I don't know whether the FA Cup's going to be the one he's going to focus on. But my sense is that he'd focus on the Europa League just to make sure he gets Champions League for next season, and that if they were to lose this weekend, I'm not sure he'd care that much.
It's not a bad backup prize, Dell, if you won the Europa League.
No, Jesus. And like you literally are. I mean, I know you're talking about the FA Cup later, but like when you go so long without a trophy, you literally would take anything. Maybe not the League Cup, but you take any above that. Like so, like if you finish top 4 of the season and got the FA Cup, without a doubt, success done. Like that's a given for us, and it depends where you are. Like and we talk about it again the FA Cup later. Like, but the FA Cup to someone like Man City or to Liverpool isn't much, but like the Spurs would be massive. UEFA Cup, Europa League better again, but if I trophy in top 4 of the season, do you know what? Trophy not even top 4, I take it. Do you know, because you just need to win something along the way. The won the League Cup, was it 2008, I think, or something? That was the last trophy. Like, I mean, at the time we celebrated that big time because like they kind of knew, everyone knew. Like, I know it's a pathetic trophy, but like we need something, you know. And we'd have taken that in the last 10 years as well. So, I'd gladly take an FA Cup this year, even if we did nothing. Even if we finished 5th, I'd nearly take it, even though that sounds, but you need to get something on, you need to get a foot in the ladder, you know.
Ah, yeah, you have to get the monkey off your back, kind of, as they say, to get a trophy on the board. Just on yourself, so Damien, Barnsley at tomorrow, first versus 11th. They haven't beat you since 2010, I think, or no, since 2016, and you beat them at the start of the month.
Yeah, I think, as I said, I think Norwich are the best team in the division. I think because it's FA Cup weekend, we don't hold a lot in the FA Cup because it's not something we're going to give a run at. Whether it's something financially for us or what, I don't know. Tomorrow's game, I can see him making a few changes because I think he has to. We have a few injuries, and he has his eyes on the bigger prize, which is the Premier League. That's our holy grail at the moment. FA Cup, would we take a win? Of course we would. And I think for us, FA Cup is round by round. If we lose tomorrow, it's not a big thing. Back into the drawing board again next week. We'll go again for next weekend's game. If we win tomorrow, I think our next game is the winners of Chelsea Luton. Does he go big on that game? He probably doesn't. If you go past Chelsea, then it's different. You're gone into the semi-final territory, then it's a different ball game. But for us, I think it's about confidence. It's about winning games, whether it's the FA Cup, it's the League Cup. And I don't think it's something that he's going to go tomorrow to try and win. Yes, he'll make changes. To a normal guy, they'll read that in the papers and they'll say 6 changes were made. To me, it's not 6 changes. It's just swapping the squad around. We don't have young players to rest, if you know what I'm saying. We don't have the kids to throw in. Our team is kids. So that's where we're going to be tomorrow. I think we're going to go to win the game. I fancy us to win it. But if we lose, it's not a big thing. I think the FA Cup, for me, has lost its appeal over the years. It's not the same. Whether it's because of too much football on the TV or maybe it's because of financial implications, I'm not sure. But for us, the Premier League is the holy grail, and that's where we need to be come to summer. So I would think we would tick the box tomorrow and win it. But that's we certainly don't have any eyes. Arsenal and Spurs, yeah, they're looking to win it. We're not. Definitely not.
So just you're obviously you're talking about changes and stuff there. Just to the to 3 of you, start with you there, Barnsley. Do you think he rotates tomorrow, or is he will he be strong with a small bit of rotation, or do you think he'll do what you do in the League Cup?
I reckon he'll probably change around the back 4 or back 5, whichever shape he goes with. I think that's where the changes will come from. The likes of Mari probably coming back will slot in. Chambers may get a run as well. Other than that, I can't see him doing anything else. Maybe the likes of Willock, who got a chance in the Europa League, didn't really impress. I'd like him to keep Smith Rowe going. Obviously, players at that age, like we all know what it's like playing at that age, you play every second day or every day if you could. So he just wants to stay out there, keep that momentum going. I'd like to see him give Nketiah a start. Other than that, I think the rest picks itself.
Right, Del, what about you? Do you think he rotates? I know you mentioned Harry Kane will probably play 85 minutes, but what about Son? Will Son start? Will he start and goal, or will he change it up?
I'd say he'll go strong. To be honest, he'll probably bring in one or two, maybe like a Lamela or something like that for Son, but I'd say 9 or 11 will be starters. You know, he might throw in like Winks isn't getting his game. He's getting a game 1 in 4 or something like that. So he'd probably throw him in possibly, but 3 changes tops. You might get a Matt Doherty, or he'll make 1 or 2 changes, but nothing major. I think so. Yeah.
Well, Gaz, anything from you? Anything on lads have said, or
Like just from what they're saying and in general, I don't know if we're going to go on to like a general importance of the FA Cup, but the only team that actually are playing for anything in the FA Cup as a priority is Arsenal, in my opinion. Spurs are playing top 4, Liverpool are playing top 4, United are playing for the league, and Norwich are playing for promotion. Did you know Arsenal aren't going to get top 4 at this stage? I think that this is the only real domestic silverware they have. So I think and they have the hardest tie. So I imagine they'll probably go for it a bit more. But you just don't know with Arteta, because I think they're very much sort of up and down at the minute. But it'll be interesting to see. The FA Cup is what it is at the minute, but I think the rest of the teams just will use it for a chance. I think Mourinho might make some changes tomorrow. I think he'll play Kane or Son, but I think he might change around the front three. You might see Moura starting or something like that, maybe. But we'll wait and see. But I think Arsenal are the only team with anything to play for, really. Like that, it's a priority for them.
yeah,
I'd say a spot on there. Like take last season, if we didn't win the FA Cup, is it a successful season? No, it's not. Saying this season, like realistically, are we going to get top 4? Top 6 is probably even a stretch at this stage. So, but if we were finished 7th and an FA Cup, that's a successful season for Arteta. I'm not liking the Arteta bashing either, by the way.
that's just because of man crush, Burns. That's nothing to do with
That's it. Yeah,
quality.
absolutely.
There's a difference. Welcome back to the second half of the show. We're going to go across to Gaz for his talking bollocks points of the week. Gary?
Thanks, Niall. So I'm just going to talk about the week that we've just passed. I know we done a big chat last week on United Liverpool, and we done the catch up on Tuesday. So just want to touch on a few points of just Premier League points from the week so far. I suppose the first point is we'll hit Chelsea first. I don't know what guys' opinions are. Paul, we'll start with you, because I know you like a good-looking manager. So just on Chelsea, do we think Lampard's going to be pushed out, or how do we feel it's going to go?
I don't know. Like there's kind of mixed things in the media. Like you'd see that Shevchenko's being lined up. That I read something yesterday that they want to stick with Lampard because they know it's like I thought it was mental. As somebody said, it was a transition period, especially when they go out and spend, was it 150 million on Havertz and Werner? Like that's not a transition period. You just went out and spend 150 million. I think they'll stick with him. I think they'll probably give him till the end of February, and I think it will come down to what they're involved in, what trophies they've got left to play for. Some of the fans are even starting to voice their opinions about him, that it is time for him to go. He's not experienced enough, but I do think they'll give him at least till the end of February. Maybe this even the way like the FA Cup goes, for instance, the Champions League, like this, and if they have a reasonable shot at top 4, I think they'll even hold on to him then.
Yeah, and I suppose the thing is, like we talked about it earlier, the youth policy at Chelsea looks amazing. Like they have some amount of young players, and the bench is outstanding. Like, so, even compared to Spurs there, Derek, we talked about Spurs earlier, but like, the youth at Chelsea is amazing compared to what's available at Spurs, but it just doesn't seem to be clicking at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like because like Billy Gilmore and these fellas, like their squad is like unreal, but like they've literally just thrown money on it. And I was looking at their bench the other day, I was like, it's unreal. Like, I mean, they're the most expensive goalkeeper in the world on the bench, and it was unreal. But it's very hard to throw a few hundred million at a team and expect it to function as well. So, I mean, first year at Man City, I don't think Pep did quite well from memory, but like, to Paul's point, like I suppose it demands instant success when you throw that kind of money on it. It would be different now if he was playing the likes of Gilmore, doing Arteta on it, just blooding all the young fellas. You'd say fair enough, you have to give him a year or give him 2 years, that kind of stuff. But when he's been given a budget, it demands instant success. Like, and like personally, I think they'd be completely wrong to fire him, because you can't, like, it doesn't always work out after 4 months. You can't expect all the players to gel. But then again, he can't have any excuses if he doesn't deliver either. So I was thinking it's a nonsense when they fire managers after a few months after giving him a budget. If you give a guy a budget, you have to back him because the new guy is going to come in and not fancy those players. So it's just it's an easy out, So I think they might get rid of him, but I think it probably will be the wrong decision,
Yeah, and I suppose we'll go to you next, then, Damien, because like if you look at Norwich, like it's very easy to do that whole fire once you get relegated, sack the manager vibe, and I think it's obviously worked well for Norwich this season to not get rid of Faka, and I don't know whether Chelsea should be looking at somebody else, and I know there's loads of options at the minute. What's your opinion?
Yeah, my opinion is simple because I'm a Norwich fan and you see things differently. You have to. I know it's very simple to say, listen, the guy spent 150, 200 million, but you need time. And this is what bothers me about football teams. They change managers so regularly that managers aren't able to get the point across, change the system, and do whatever they need to do. Granted, he brought in 150, 160 million, but obviously the squad that was there is obviously not good enough over the last couple of years. So he has to play that out. You look at Solskjaer at United. To be fair, I didn't rate Solskjaer. I thought United had a very, very weak team. And when times were going bad, do you get rid of Solskjaer? United didn't. And what's happening is his point of view are starting to come across. It takes time. You can't demand. I don't want to demand instant success. It takes time. You look at the best manager in the Premiership history, Alex Ferguson. He was only apparently a game or two away from being fired. Look what he done after that. It could take 2 years. It could take 3 years. I feel sorry for Lampard. I thought it's a job that should he taken at the time. I don't know, because being sacked, the guy was a legend at the club, and being sacked as manager, I feel probably taints his playing career. So unless he wins big time and leaves of his own accord, I think his career has to be tainted by Chelsea, because Chelsea are like that. They'll give it 12, 13, 15 months. If you don't get it, you're out.
Wednesday night, I suppose we had the most contentious decision, I'd say, of the Premiership so far in the City Villa game, the first goal. So based on the laws, there was no issue here. I think the laws are the problem, and everybody agrees. But like the one thing I wonder is that, if any of you guys playing centre half, a ball comes down, how long is Tyrone Mings supposed to be allowed to control the ball before Rodri can tackle him, or can Rodri just not touch him at all?
3 minutes at least.
Like he didn't have that ball under control at all. Like, as in, hit him in the chest. So like, that's not technically under control. It's when he gets it under his foot. The ball bounced, and as soon as it bounced, Rodri was on top of him, and it's offside. I know by the letter of the law it's not, but like when you look at some of the decisions they've given offside with VAR and stuff, and then they're looking at that, is just, for me, it's mad. Again, letter of the law is correct, but it's silly, like, it's stupid, cost Villa again, like,
Yeah, I think it's a goal. I think that the thing is, all these players are Premiership players. This is all they do in life. This is their job. The refs come in and tell them the rules. They know if they're offside and they take a bad touch. Just because he takes a bad touch doesn't mean it makes a difference. He still had a chance to control it. He tried to control it, took a bad touch, took another touch, and then got dispossessed. I think, if he doesn't want to take a touch, just clears it. So
you have a man in behind you as well, as in, like, he should have been aware that he was in behind, and he wasn't aware of that. I think if he knew he was there, he doesn't even think about chesting it. He just heads it away, or he just takes it and volleys it as far as he can. I think that Rodri's offside, and it's just it's gaining too much of an advantage for City.
And do we all think now, and Paul, you can go first on this one, but do you all think now that City are favourites to win the league based on the 3 points during the week and based on the other teams around them? Or
yeah, I do. I think they've it probably sounds a bit extreme, but I'd compare the signing of Diaz the same way Van Dijk signed that time when Van Dijk went to Liverpool. Now, not just for Diaz, the player himself, but like I think himself and John Stones as a partnership have just conceded 1 goal, and that was City's kind of City will always score goals, but the fact that they were conceding so many, certainly last season, was their downfall. Conceding 1 goal in the last 19 games is where they need to be. Obviously, De Bruyne is out now as well. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks. Aguero is out, but like the quality they have is still there. Like that, if De Bruyne doesn't turn up, which I know isn't very often, Silva turns up, Sterling turns up. Like they have that quality, but I think they've hit that they're gathering momentum now. That I don't think there'll be anyone stopping.
Anyone else think anyone outside of City?
No, I can't see.
No.
Can't
Well,
I touched on Diaz as well on the reaction show on Monday there. Just that phenomenal player, and even Pep said he wasn't expecting him to be as good as he is. And he praised the scouting department on that. I just think there is something about him. I remember last year when City lost Laporte, I was like, I was kind of going, it's very hard to replace him. But Stones and Diaz have got a partnership going out. That Laporte is struggling to get back in the team, and he's back from injury. It's crazy how one player can completely change the fortunes of a backline. And you're not far off, Burnsy, but compared to Van Dijk. Obviously we brought Allison in as well. They already had Ederson, so I just think he's a massive signing for them.
For that on Wednesday night, we had United beat Fulham. Went pretty much as everybody would have expected, I think, bar the early goal. But Cavani looks good, but I'm not sure he's the answer long term, obviously. But Pogba's going to drive United to the league, I reckon.
The silence there is a no, Gary. That's a no. That's a big no.
Thanks, lads. It was worth a go.
It was definitely worth a go again.
So the next point, obviously, is based on last night's match, is the Liverpool result, and that no goals in 4 games for the champions is it's quite a turnaround given where they were at the start of the season. And I suppose, Niall, I'm just going to direct this at you first, obviously, but do you think Liverpool should concentrate on the FA Cup this weekend? Because I think, is the league gone, or do you still think you have a chance of winning the league?
No, the league is. Sorry, cut out there. No, I didn't.
Convenient time to lose them.
Yeah, I think the league is gone. I think City have that, and we're in a clash or in a challenge for top 4 now at this stage as well. Until we get out of this slump, and if the game at the weekend was fucking, I don't know, Kettering Town in the League Cup, I'd want to go out and absolutely hammer them. So I want to go out and hammer United, regardless of who we're playing. It's just to go out and to try and change the fortunes of it. I thought I got it wrong last night with the starting 11. I think that, okay, for leaving Bobby out, Salah has to start, or if Salah's out, Bobby has to start. You can't take 2 of them out. And I think he underestimated Burnley as well. He thought that we'd get one early and then maybe get another 2 on top of that. But when you're relying on the likes of Divock Origi, who it's weird to say he's a club legend, there's people going to be telling their grandkids that he scored in the Champions League final, and just going to be like, no, he didn't. He goes through 1-on-1, he tries to rip the net. It's just crazy. The quality isn't there without the likes of Jota and stuff, and I don't know what Minamino needs to do to get a start. He starts against Palace, we win 7-0, he scores in that game, hasn't started since. I would definitely put him in ahead of Origi last night. But yeah, I think the league is gone. I think the Champions League is going to be our main focus. We have another month until that starts, so hopefully we can come out of the slump we're in. But yeah, I'd be looking at the FA Cup, and he went strong against Villa. I know now we scraped over the line, as in they were 1-up it was 1-1, but there was a very strong team put out. So I think he actually wants it. I think he wants us to try and see how far we can go in it. And at the end of the day, I'm all for winning any sort of trophies, regardless of what it is.
Yeah, and so to the non-Liverpool fans, so I could start with Damien. I'll start with you on this as a sort of semi-Liverpool fan by the sounds of it. Is this the end of Klopp? Is this the beginning of the end of Klopp?
No, not a chance. Not a chance. I think it's funny how Liverpool are going through this bad patch. And for me, I think Liverpool, they struggled last year or the season before when they didn't have the centre half, Van Dijk. I think Van Dijk is a major loss for them. I know he's defending, but sometimes you start from the back. And Liverpool are like that. Liverpool are very similar to the likes of Norwich, the likes of Leeds. It's what to do when they have the ball. They're not so good when they don't have the ball. That's why we ship goals, Leeds ship goals. Liverpool were the same 2 seasons ago, the ball and Van Dijk. And I think what's happening now is there's that confidence going, if we don't score, we'll ship one at the back. And I have a feeling that's what's coming through the team. Van Dijk is a major leader. He's a Rolls Royce at the half. And that festers on. You look at Diaz when he's playing with Stones. To make Stones a good player, that just shows your partnership. Van Dijk made Lovren a great player last season before they sent him out on loan or when they got rid of him. So to lose that kind of player, it has to have a push-on effect to the rest of the team when they're not going on. I also think that maybe the likes of Mane and Salah have a feeling there's something personal going on between the two guys, whether it's one-upmanship, and I have a feeling that's also negating it. But whether it's the end of Klopp, I would definitely say no, not a chance. The guy's a winner.
But just on your point here, is that the end of Klopp? It'll be the end of you next week, and Johnny Nolan will be sitting in that corner.
No, but look at. I'm not trying to be too smart on it. Like, but Klopp was at Dortmund and had a run. He had a fantastic run at Dortmund, and then there was an end in sight, and obviously everybody blames the way they play football for the end, and that's only exasperated this season because you played this intense football for so long, and now you're trying to play it all in a less amount of time. So something does have to give, and that it goes back to the points we talked about last week and the point we talked about week. Like, if he doesn't have a plan B, and this is the only way he knows how to play, you can't do that, and you're not going to be able to do it this year. The majority of them players are going to have Euros in the summer, and then they're going to have to try and do the same next year. So it's going to be quite difficult. Like, I don't know, and the youth is there, but it's not maybe as experienced as what you'd want it to be. That's my only point on it.
I know we've kind of drifted a bit off the FA Cup, so we'll get back onto that in a minute. But I just want to know, like, what a year for the remainder of the season for EG. What are your minimum expectations as a club, Derek? What are you expecting from Spurs? What do you want, or is it, as you said earlier, just the cup and anywhere, any league finish, or what are you realistically hoping for?
Like, realistically, I just want them to actually, like, it's been shown over the last 5 or 6 games coming up to Liverpool game stuff that actually they have the ability to go on and win games and win them by 2 or 3 goals. And with Mourinho there, he's done a lot of good stuff to make them nice and solid and all that, and it's really worked. But it's criminal just watching him 1-0 up and they're sitting on it, and then it comes back to bite him. So, like, they can do better and they should be doing better, and he just seems to be kind of I suppose reluctant to go forward, and we'll end the season with nothing, like, if we don't learn from those mistakes, I suppose. So ultimately, I mean, a trophy, that's what it probably boils down to. I think if he really put his mind to it, like, this is the only year that we're ever going to have any chance to win the league, I don't think we'll do it. But, like, ask me 4 weeks ago when we were sitting on top of the league, I was thinking, geez, there's an outside chance here, because actually they all were buying into it, they all knew what they were doing, and they looked like they were doing quite well, a bit like Leicester. But I can't see it happening now. But I suppose the trophy, that's what it boils down to. Just win something. I don't care what it is. Fair play league, I'll take it.
Barnesy?
Well, Derek, he did celebrate Harry Redknapp winning the Jungle a few years ago, so that's a he still having.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, there you go. Look, I know, like, we spoke with the FA Cup, and, like, I think it glossed over an awful lot for us. Like, the owners aren't going to spend anything if we do win the FA Cup. So, as kind of drastic as this might sound, I'd be happy to get as close to the top 4 as possible to show a bit of progress. If we won the FA Cup, they're not going to open the coffers again for us. So I'd nearly prefer not to win a cup this year, as bad as that sounds, and get as close as we can to the top 4 again. The youth coming through is phenomenal. It really is. Like, and that's just not the 3 lads we mentioned earlier. Like, there's more players coming through. Certainly there's, like, the likes of Bellerin, Maitland-Niles. There's another generation coming in after them that are very good as well. So I'd like to see them get a chance, build on it for this season, and drive on it for next season.
For ourselves, we're not going to win any FA Cup. We're not going to win any cup, to be fair. We're too small a club to do that. We're self-funded. And maybe it makes financial sense just to keep winning. But for us this season, it's all about the championship. I read recently that we want to be, and it's a weird thing to say, but it's something you have to understand. Norwich want to set themselves up to be in the top 26, which is not a top 20. But if you're not in the top 20, you have to be in the next 6, get ready to go back again. And for us, you have to understand, for a small club like us, in 3 years ago, I think it was 2016, 2017, we were on the verge of closing. A lot of people don't know that, but that was the reason why they sold Maddison to Leicester. I think it was 2017 or 18. That's why we sold him. One selling, one player going out saved our club. So when we got promoted last year to the Premiership, everyone is talking that the likes of Fulham, the likes of Villa, spend big. We spent something like £2.5 million because first of all, we weren't ready for the Premiership. I think the club were gearing themselves up for the top 10 finish, 9th to 10th. We actually won the league, surprisingly to the whole lot of us. So when we did go to the Premiership, they decided, listen, if we get relegated, we're going to be bringing in players with Premiership wages that we can't sustain. So you're going to go back again to the Championship. So what happened back in 2009, we ended up drifting to League One. It happened to Sunderland, it happened to Man City a few years back, and it happened to Leeds. So there's a big gulf between the Championship and the Premiership when you do fall out, especially if you don't have a billionaire owner. If you're self-funded, you need to be generating money regularly. So for us, it has to be the Championship to win. First or second, I'll take either two and get on the coattails. Next year, I'll finish 17th and 18th. But the way the Premiership works, when we were there in 2011, the remit was 17th. I think Paul Lambert was in charge, and he asked, and they said, look, as long as you finish 17th and we generate income coming in every year, that'll do us. The following year, he finished 11th that year. The following year, he asked the club, what's the goalpost? And they said 17th again. And he finished 12th. The following year, he left for Villa, and Chris Hughton came in, and Chris Hughton said, right, what's the remit? 17th? And they said, no, we want top 10. So that's how football, the business side, takes over. So hopefully we've learned from that. This year going forward, if we do win the Championship, I hope we do open the coffers a little bit, spend a bit. You have to spend a bit of money. You have to speculate to accumulate. So I'm hoping we do spend 30, 40 million, because I think the club has enough money in its coffers now from being in there the last year, having a parachute payment for the last couple of years. That's all going to bode well for us. The likes of selling players like Ben Godfrey, like Jamel Lewis, and hopefully, fingers crossed, if we do come up next year, will probably be a better season for us, much stronger season. I think the end of last year, with COVID and with no crowds affect most teams. They certainly affect us. We have 27,000 Norwich City fans shouting at our lads every single week. Take that away from us, we have the managers shouting at us. It's a different ballgame.
Yeah, no, that's one of the reasons I wanted to get someone on from the Championship team because they're the things we don't see. You know, when you follow a team in the top six, they say, like, I never knew that Norwich that close to going under, but it's a good sign that you have the youth players that you can sell on, and obviously Madison's gone on to do massive things. He'll probably go on to do even bigger things if he leaves Leicester as well, you know. But it's just I said I didn't know you were that close to going under, you know. But your point on the fans, it's massively affecting Liverpool as well. It's huge. I think it's doing it for every team, and it's something. The sooner we can get back to it, obviously the better it's going to be for every club, not just for Liverpool and Norwich, you know. All right, lads. So onto the FA Cup itself. It's the conversation is going to be based around the cup, the tournament. What your first memories of it, and that kind of side of it. You know, has it lost its appeal to a lot of teams? I fell in love with the FA Cup in 1998. Arsenal were playing Newcastle, and I was actually on my way to Dublin for Cork City and Shelbourne. And Arsenal, I think it was 3-0 Barnsley, was it?
Tell you.
He was out of it as well.
I was out of it, yeah.
It was 3-0. I think Anelka got 2, and I think Borkamp might have got 1. But it was actually an uncle of mine. He's a huge Chelsea fan. He's knows more about football than any man I've ever met in my life. Just talking about the FA Cup that day on the way up in the train to Dublin, it just, like, he was telling me that it meant everything to him as a kid. You know, it was their European Cup. The FA Cup was huge. And I actually got in contact with him yesterday to kind of get why it means so much to him. And even to this day, he loves the FA Cup. Like, he was saying that when they were young, the green outside his house was their Wembley, you know, and they were dreaming of lifting the FA Cups. And I think we all have that as a kid. When you're out playing around with your buddies, you're scoring the winner in an FA Cup final, you know, and it kind of brings that memory back. I'd say if you had 4, 5, 15-year-olds on this at the moment, they'd say the FA Cup means nothing to them, you know. It's kind of our generation, probably the last of the people that think the FA Cup is actually worth anything. Like, there's been some amazing footballers that have won the FA Cup. Some amazing footballers haven't won it. You know, it's just, for me, I think it's a prestigious cup, and I always had a liking for it. And I mean, what's your take on it, Damien? I know you're saying that it's not something you want now because you're a small club, but in general, going back to when you were young, what's your take on the FA Cup?
My take would be exactly as you said, Niall. The exact same. I'd love the FA Cup. When you're playing out the road, you're not playing league matches. You're playing the FA Cup. That's what we used to. We have a knockout competition. You have an FA Cup final, 2 teams in the FA Cup final. You're probably right with what you're saying in a lot. A lot of it is tradition. Your Sunday kickoff or your Saturday kickoff 3 o'clock. For me, I used to love the draw. I think it was on a Sunday after the last game on a Sunday. I used to love that. Whether I was especially when our team was in the draw, makes it even better again. It lost its appeal for me with Norwich because of the fact that we struggle to get beyond the third round most seasons. That's because of where financial implications have changed towards the Premiership. And I think the Premiership have changed it big time. I think the tradition of the FA Cup is gone. You listen to Paul Byrne there saying that he would rather not win the FA Cup and come fourth. That says enough for me. Like the likes of Arsenal, the likes of Spurs, when you're not pushing for the league, these are your next thing. Every manager wants to win a trophy, whether it's a League Cup, it's an FA Cup, it doesn't matter what it is. Winning a trophy is success, regardless of what cup it is. So for the likes of an Arsenal fan to say that he doesn't want to win an FA Cup speaks volumes for the FA Cup at the moment for me, and I would put it on the par with the League Cup. For me, it's different tomorrow because we're in the FA Cup, but if we get knocked out tomorrow, the next round of FA Cup matches for me is a bit like the international break where technically there's no football. That's the way I look at it.
Derek, what about you?
Yeah, look, I suppose you've all kind of touched on it, but like I suppose the Premiership is going to ruin it, to be honest. Or sorry, the Champions League is going to ruin it because you can finish 6th or 7th or whatever the hell it is and still get into Europe now, whereas before you had to win the league to, go into the Champions League or whatever it is. You have to be in the top two. You win a cup, you win the Cup Runners' Cup, so things have changed in that it used to be probably the main chance or the only chance of someone winning a trophy, whereas nowadays people have different avenues. So it's all relative, I guess. And like I still think it's really, really important because like the chances of even a Spurs or an Arsenal winning a league is quite low these days. Negligible probably. But so the next available thing is the FA Cup, unless you get into the, Europa League or something like that. So if you've aspirations of winning a trophy, it's the one that's winnable. I mean, actually, the most winnable one is probably the League Cup. So, like, you have to. There's a balance between getting into the Champions League and getting your prize money and keeping the fans happy. Like, Sevilla there won how many Europa Leagues in a row there? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so they got the formula right. But like, you can, as I say, like if we were getting into top 4 every year and winning the League Cup every year, I'd be happy enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I still love it.
Gary, what about you? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I loved the FA Cup when I was younger because I remember United in the mid-90s when I was just starting to get into football were in every FA Cup final for years in a row. But my story is really not around that. I think my outfit is an Everton supporter. So all I ever hear to this day, once a month, I'm guaranteed to hear about Paul Rideout's bullet header in the 95 FA Cup final. And I'm like, it hit off his head and went in. It was nothing. But this shows exactly what I mean is that, the smaller teams hold on to have any victory in the FA Cup, and they seem to don't care about that anymore. They don't care about winning the FA Cup anymore. But this is what, 25 years later, and he still talks about it all the time. I still hear it. Honestly, once a month I hear about Paul Rideout and how I was sitting in the sitting room crying because United lost the cup final. Like, this was just, that's nearly more of a memory to me about an FA Cup final than we beat Chelsea 4-0 the year before that. We beat Liverpool in the white suits 2 years after that. It was sort of, but it's the small teams, and it's massive for the small teams when they do go through. The one thing I think is that I liked when the FA Cup was the last game of the season. When Premiership finished before the FA Cup was the Saturday after the Premiership, 3:00. Everybody knew this is it now until if there was an international tournament or until August. I think the way they're just shoehorning it in a little bit. I think maybe if they got rid of one off the League Cup or the FA Cup, it might make it better. But mid-90s, the FA Cup was brilliant. I think it has lost it, but that's just the way football's gone. It's gone more global. And
all right, lads. Look, it's the end of the FA Cup talk. We'll just finish up this week the same way we do every week, just predictions. Slightly different because we've got obviously the championship team on, and with it being FA Cup week as well, we're going to predict our FA Cup winners. So we'll start with you, Del. If you want to give me who you think will finish in the top 4 in the Premier League. Give me the order as well if you can.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced, but I'll go with Man City. Man City, Pool, United, Spurs.
Is that more out of hope or?
No, I actually look. I think Spurs are solid. And like the reason Man City are on top at the moment is their defense. I still don't think I'm not totally convinced about their attack. You wouldn't be relying on Raheem Sterling to win the league, to be honest. So I still think they'll win it by default almost, but not impressively, if you know what I mean. So I think Liverpool have enough in them. Like if Liverpool click, they'll fly. So I think United are probably the best of the rest. Leicester are going to fall away without Vardy, and there's nothing else after that, to be honest. So I think that's the order.
And the championship, did you get a chance to have a look at that? You think?
Yeah, no, like I suppose I think Norwich will go up, and I take a point that like you look at the top four and some that'll change next week, but I think Norwich, like they've done it well, as Damien said there, so I think they'll be up, and after that it's anyone's guess. I thought it was going to be Bournemouth, but they're going through a bad run at the moment. I'd probably maybe tip Watford to come back up.
All right, Damien, we go across to you on the Premier League top four. How way do you see that going?
I'd have to agree with Derek. I'd have to go with City, Liverpool, unfortunately United, because I don't see anyone else there, and maybe Spurs. I don't see Chelsea catching them, and I think unfortunately Leicester will fall out without Vardy. I think it's a big loss to them. Hopefully I'm wrong, because I would like to see Leicester again top four, because I think Rodgers is a super manager for such a small club, and I like when small clubs are done well. If you go on and call Leicester a small club, they're probably a small club in terms of Premier League teams. But I would definitely think City, Liverpool. I would still think it's between City and Liverpool. I have to edge City because of the squad that they have. The squad is ridiculous. And I think they're getting it right at the right time. I think United won't be there, and I think Spurs will just pip up for fourth. That would be my prediction.
And in the championship?
The championship, I'll obviously have to say we're going to win. I'd have to say, because I've watched enough of us. We're dominating teams every week, 72, 73, 74% possession. We have a tendency to leak goals at the back, but we've got Dave Gibson from Middlesbrough on loan with a view to sign him in the summer, and he is showing us up. Himself and Henry are a great partnership in the back. So the defensive side of things are starting to work well. So I see us coming up. I see Swansea, and I would say maybe Bournemouth in the playoffs. That would be my top three.
So, Barnesy, what about you? Premier League top four?
No, I wrote this down before I found out Vardy was injured, but I'm going to go with it anyway. I'm going to go with City, Liverpool, Leicester, and I think Spurs are going to sneak it. I think United are going to fall away.
Brave call.
You used to see Gary's face there when I said that as well.
And the championship, did you get a chance to have a look?
Yeah. I think Norwich will walk it. I love watching the championship. I think the aura about that is brilliant as well. I think Brentford are going to sneak second, and Bournemouth maybe through the playoffs, or vice versa.
Last one, lads, is FA Cup. For me, I'd like to see Leicester win it. If they do fall away in the league, I'd like to see them to get their hands on that. Derek, who do you think is going to win the FA Cup?
I normally would have this club last in my mind, but I'm actually going to say Spurs. Just because, yeah, I know. I just think Mourinho will win something with us, and I don't know what it is, but I think he will win something, and I think he will. He knows he's realistic enough to know that we probably won't win the league, and he'll probably go after Europa leagues and things like that. And I think FA Cup will be a priority. So get a good break and a good run and a good draw, and I think they'll be thereabouts. So there you go. Year ends in one. Sold.
Barnesy, who's winning the FA Cup?
I forgot about that rule of thumb with you actually there. The year ends in one. I think City. I think City's B team are going to win the FA Cup. Like we spoke about the people not treating the FA Cup the way it should be treated, but like realistically, City's they put out a B team, they're going to win that.
Damien?
Yeah, I'd have to go with City. If I was to pick someone outside City, if City have their eye on the Premiership, I would go for Chelsea. I think Chelsea they've Luton, I think, and then they have the winners of our game. So I think that's a nice, easy path for them. So, and I think Frank will be pushing for some bit of silverware. So I think that would be high on his list. So if it's not City, I will go for Chelsea.
What about you, Gaz? Who's winning the FA Cup for you?
I think with all the big teams are obviously favourites, but given that a lot of them are going to be concentrating on European football and the league, especially because they're all fighting for top four and in Europe, I think someone like Everton or West Ham have a chance this season. It'll open up for them. So I think I wouldn't mind seeing Everton win it, but I think they have a good chance as well. It'd be good for Ancelotti, and it would be lovely to see Seamus Coleman lift a trophy in England as well.
What if it's an Everton United final and Everton win 1-0 again? You've listened to your dad then for the next 25 years again.
Yeah, well, I didn't think that through, did I?
All right, lads, we'll come back to our reaction show on Monday evening. We'll go through all things FA Cup and see what our predictions look like. See is there anyone smiling or crying come full time on Monday night. Actually, we'll have to do a Tuesday night, Derek, because you're on Monday night, so we'll look at possibly Tuesday night for the reaction show, lads. So again, if you like what we're doing, hit the thumb and subscribe to the channel, get our name out there, and we'll see what we can do with this channel. Hope you enjoyed it. This is Talking Absolute Bollocks, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Sure.
Niall.
Good night.
See you, lads.